Hey guys, thank you for watching this. So there's a little bit of technical difficulties with the last meeting. So those of you who were able to be on there live, special you, because that video is lost in space. So we're going to be doing it a little bit differently from here moving forward. We're going to be doing videos around a half hour of me kind of just going over the material and giving you like a little assignment so we can really practice like integrating what we're learning. And then the assignment will basically be something that looks like, hey, we've learned this new knowledge, now let's take it forward and practice it. And with that, then we'll have like our own stories and discoveries and questions, of course. And the second half of the video will be live, and that's when we can do discussions and questions. And we'll have this, for now, screen to screen time, and then eventually the face-to-face interaction. So just to recap, because this is the first video, and if you guys missed last week, we're using this book called How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. And I talked about last week, like it doesn't, like, let's not discredit it because it says kids. Really, it applies to everybody, and just how important it is to be a good listener, because the best thing we can give anybody is the gift of letting them know that they are heard. Because when somebody feels that they're heard, then they feel that they're understood, and then they feel like they belong, and they feel like they can connect, and they feel like they have a family. And that's what we're trying to do here at Laakea. So that's all of our intentions. Sometimes it just gets hard. So this book is a great little like tool that really gives down certain scenarios and breaks down step-by-step tools that we can use to practice. So I also mentioned in the first video that, and I'll probably say it multiple times, that these are new skills. And as we learn any new skill, it'd be foolish to the first time you lay down on a board and paddle out, you think you're gonna catch like, surf jaws. It takes practice, and I love that Roxanne came in and she was able to kind of start these workshops, because the growth and fix mindset is such a beautiful mentality to have in mind, preferably the growth mindset, when we are learning these things, and just not to give up. My experience with using this book as a guide on how we talk with our participants and everyone, not just Laakea, but my friends and my parents and people that come to me and they're crying and sobbing, and sometimes I don't know what to do, right? We have this intuitive knowing that is beautiful, and we all know how to be good friends, but we can definitely learn how to help people, how we can communicate to let people know that we really hear them. So my biggest thing is just don't get discouraged. Like I said, the first part will be me telling you the information, sharing it with you. And then the second part will be hearing about your experiences, and that's where we can kind of learn through each other and sharing how we've practiced it, and sharing how, at first it seems really cognitive and unnatural and maybe phony, because it seems like we're using these scripts, but it's just learning a new language. So thank you guys, and I'm really excited that we can all practice this, because I know we've all just been wondering how to handle certain situations, and this has been such a godsend. So last week, to recap, the biggest thing, I love that the book starts with just listening. Number one, it's like, hey, if you don't make it past chapter 1, I need to let you know that the most important thing we can do is be a good listener. So the whole chapter 1 is summarized in the acronym that we made, LAGG, L-A-G-G, and the L standing for listening. So when somebody's talking, really actively listening. And the best way that I can do this is show up fully present. So you're not thinking about what you're having for dinner later that day. You're not thinking about what you're going to say next, right? Like true listening, it's not waiting for your turn to talk. And some of the little helpful hints that we gave during our session last week is just after someone's finished talking, especially our participants, pausing when they're finished talking. Say to Mississippi in your head. And I'm even going to offer you that when doing this exercise at La Ikea, working with your participant, give them a little extra longer. Keep your eye contact, keep your body language saying, hey, I'm still engaged. Because oftentimes nobody's looking for you to solve their problems or is looking for this like big zinger statement that's like, wow, amazing, that's what I needed to hear. You're basically Pluto, like reincarnated and coming to me now and granting me all this like philosophical wisdom. No, we are helping everybody, each other and our participants, be empowered and knowing that they have the answers to most of their dilemmas or problems or struggles. They just need somebody to listen to them and to hold that space. And oftentimes we get so eager to talk and share and help, and it's all good intentions. But in doing so, we end up like stopping their flow, their desire to share. So I encourage when somebody's talking, let's start with the 2 seconds. That's something that you can practice whoever you're listening to. Pausing. Take a deep breath. We all are part of their meditations in the morning. Have a moment, a 2-second meditation where you inhale, feel your collarbones rise, feel your belly fill up with air. Exhale, fully present. And if they are finished talking, they'll stop. And if you're supposed to say something, you'll say it then. So that's the L in LAG. The A in our acronym of chapter 1 is acknowledge. So when somebody's listening, it's hard to tell that they're listening if they're looking up at the sky, if they're on their phone, if they're just like chilling, they look bored. We can show that we're listening by a lot of ways. And specifically, this book offers to give like a little head nod or a yeah, or just a gentle and tell that you're paying attention. And of course, we all know these intuitive like duh to show that we're listening. And it's easy to do when something's important and exciting. And just give that gift to everyone you talk to and let them know that you're interested and you're following them. The first G in our LAG, L-A-G, is give it a name. So this is one of my favorite steps for our participants because they, as Kelsey talked about in one of our staff meetings, right, flipping the lid, it's because inside of our brain is the limbic brain, which is responsible for emotions and stress, and it does not have language. So the frontal cortex of our brain, that's where we put what's inside our limbic brain, we translate it through, we give it language, and we're able to speak and communicate. So when we're feeling frazzled, we're feeling upset and angry and frustrated, and we're able to say, I am frustrated, and I am disappointed, or I am ecstatic, and I can't wait, I'm super excited. But a lot of times when we're given this whopping dose of a circumstance, and especially our participants, it can just feel like somebody's come in and taken a fork and scrambled up their brains like scrambled eggs. And I'm talking from personal experience because I have that often. And again, that's where the listening comes in, because sometimes I just need to talk it out. And in talking it out, I can make sense of it. So you as the active listener, you're listening, and just hearing them. And then when they come to a pause or a stop, offering, showing that you understand what they're saying and simplifying it by giving it a name. Wow, you sound really frustrated. Ooh, you sound angry. That must have been really disappointing. And instantly it's like a little light bulb went off in there. Like, I know when I've had that in return, I'm like, whoa, yeah, I just spent 30 minutes explaining and you just summed it up in 3 seconds. But now I feel like you understood me and I didn't lose you in my rambling and me having to go here and here and here and here and here and here and here to finally get to the point. And sometimes that's what it takes, is just somebody to hang out and be patient and then say, like, I understand. So gifting it a word is super important. Just defining it. Then our last G in lag is also one of my favorites, so I technically lied the first time, because this is where personally in my journey of empathizing with anybody, listening to them, I really felt their struggle and their pain, or their happiness and their joy, or confusion. And I know that's all of our strong suits, and that's why we're all together at this beautiful La Kea, because we are all really sensitive and we can really empathize. And I've been blessed and have had you guys listen to me, and I'm like, wow, I can feel that they feel me. So I know that we all intuitively do that. But sometimes that's heavy when we feel their pain, we feel their sadness, and then it's like, ooh, like misery just loves company, and then we're just like sucked into it, and we're now sad because we're feeling their sadness, and now it's just like, well, did that really make it better? Instead of one person being sad, now it's 2 people being sad. So the last G in lag is grant their wishes in fantasy. So what that looks like is Zane, if you guys are catching my drift, Zane's really upset because he wants to have his milkshake glass in his closet because he doesn't want it in the kitchen where it belongs with all the other kitchenware. He is really adamant that his favorite milkshake glass live in his closet, because then he can know it's safe and it's his, and he wants it there, and that's his special glass, and it's sacred to him. So when he's all upset because he doesn't understand why he can't have it in there, and he doesn't trust that it's going to be okay in the kitchen, and as we've gone through the other steps and listened and acknowledged that we're listening and given it a name, wow, you sound really frustrated. That it sounds like that glass is really important to you. And we might hear, yeah, it is, with this surprising, like, yeah, you heard me, you understand. Lastly, then we can turn on our imaginary cap, which I know all of us have, this beautiful artist with amazing imaginations. And we can say something like, man, wouldn't it be great to have like a secret vault where we could keep all of our special things that are super close to us, and we could put them all in one magical vault where we could carry around with us all the time, and we could just have it in our pocket, and poof, everything that's important to us we just had, and it was always safe, and it was always with us, and it was an infinite space holding vault. Wouldn't that be so cool? And then you might get like, yeah, that would be so cool, like I would love that. And never in there was I trying to say like, hey, let me come up with the solution and, fix this problem. I simply, just by granting a wish in fantasy, it's like, I understand your pain, and I also understand how beautiful it would be if we could like have this solved, and like I see how special it is to you. So let's imagine And again, Kelsey talked about like a really good practice of therapists is they feel their clients suffering, but they don't get bogged down there. They take it up. They raise the vibration. Since we're in Maui, we can use that terminology, and we bring it up here. And that's that last step. That's what we do when we grant our wishes in fantasy. We say, yeah, I get it, bud, I get it, but wouldn't it be awesome? And then instantly, you know, your participants hanging around in this like great magical world. And even Christopher, if you guys are again catching what I'm saying, you know, he has a great imagination. And just acknowledging, wouldn't it be great if you could fly? Like, instead of saying like, you can't fly, and just shooting it down, it's like, you know, hop on that. And by saying, wouldn't it be great if, you know, you are acknowledging that it's not real. But when done properly in those steps of acknowledge, not acknowledge, listen, acknowledge, give it a name, and then grant it in fantasy, that's a really powerful closing statement to say, hey, I'm tracking with you. I hear ya, and we're taking it up here to end that. And it's ending on a good note, and it's sending positive energy out into the universe. And that's what we want. So